Industrialization, political corruption, corporate espionage, and racketeering. You saw the thumbnail. This is the story of how one player became the most powerful person in our Minecraft world, the now infamous CEO of the East Desert Company. As with any influential figure in history, we start with early life. Back when the first settlement of the Second Age was newly founded, Zippers had a vision for a grand city, the last world you'll ever play, a civilization that would be expanded for years to come. But he couldn't do it alone. He invited a player named Dragon, who he believed was just the man for the job. Previously an Ark player, Dragon possessed a quality no other player has, a love of the grind. He enjoys most aspects of the game, as far as we can tell, but draws the most satisfaction from gathering inordinate amounts of basic materials. His first major accomplishment was venturing thousands of miles to find spruce wood, which was previously unavailable. Today, spruce wood is used in pretty much every Emirate build. A little after the spruce voyage, Dragon helped a player named Branded establish the terracotta mines. While lacking the industrialization of his later projects, this shipping lane was the first of many and a sign of things to come. These actions by Dragon in the early days gave him favor with the players who would one day become world leaders. Now, let's look at how he leveraged this favor to establish himself in the world. While mining sandstone for one of Zipper's building projects, he discovered an extensive lush cavern system beneath the nearby village called Sandhill. Dragon then asked if he could have the village of Sandhill as his fief, with the promise of economic prosperity. After helping Zippers establish a villager trade hall, his request was granted, and he organized a group of stonemason villagers who would trade 10 clay for 1 emerald. Most of the mining that had been done up to this point was by Zippers, in the caves below his waterfall house. In exchange for emeralds, Dragon was able to acquire the resources he needed, like iron, stone, coal, and of course, food. He was also able to convince Zippers, for a small price, to lend out his netherite tools and leave them in a secret chest when he logged off, so that Dragon could use them. This gave him an immediate advantage over anyone else as far as mining speed, as Zipper's netherite tools were the only set in the world. Dragon would then found what he called the East Desert Clay Mining Company, which eventually rebranded to just East Desert Company, or EDC for short. Along with this came the industrial factory to maximize mining efficiency and provide smelting for thousands of blocks at a time. He marketed himself and the company as grinding for hire and became the father of the world's barter system. Emeralds, diamonds, and other valuables became the world's currency, exchanged for resources, construction help, and any other goods or services. Early partnership with the Emirate would make Tanis the world's richest and fastest growing city, cementing the company's reputation as a useful ally. After his initial startup success, Dragon brought in more players to work for the company and set his sights on international markets. Excavations increased in scale and production only grew. Miners were outfitted with tools, armor, and food, paid a small salary, and allowed to keep half of all valuables that they discovered. And it wasn't long before the EDC had contracts open with every civilization, aside from the Beckian traditionalists who despised the company's work. If you had a project in mind and wanted it done fast, you need the East Desert Company. No one else could match their industrial capabilities. To wealthy nations, Dragon was indispensable, and to poorer nations, he was the only option. This afforded him a significant degree of political influence, especially from the Emirate. To go against the company was to go against Tanis and its armies, with the most well-equipped players and some of the best PvPers around. When nations couldn't afford to pay, they were extorted or sabotaged. The company was quick to expand their scope. Any new updates that dropped, every new resource discovered, the company was there to capitalize. Taking little time off to work on builds, unless they were paid to do so, grinding and resource gathering was all that the company affiliates did. Today, the company currently maintains and operates an unknown number of hidden industrial facilities and farms, most of which I'm not even allowed to show, and if someone sees something they shouldn't, they aren't heard from again. Like I said, no one else could match their industrial capabilities. The EDC had built themselves a monopoly, and Dragon intended to keep it. We see this mentality especially in the case of the Isle of Marine, where Dragon played both sides of the Cold Civil War. If you're interested in the details, you can find the full story in our main series, but we'll just cover the basics here. It is known that Dragon deliberately kept the Oranges in severe debt and repeatedly crippled, or Rockefellered as he calls it, the Black Castle's industrial startups. Furthermore, Some at the Shogunate and the Republic began to raise questions about the environmental destruction wrought by company operations. However, these concerns quickly died down lest they lose alliance with the Emirate. Now, the Shogunate has even gone on to collaborate with Dragon on some of his under-the-table schemes. And ultimately, it seems like the First World has decided that benefits outweigh costs. The only group to ever truly fight back, the Beckians, are now enemies of the state in almost every nation. From the first moments he set foot in the world, Dragon carefully cultivated relationships with world leaders and used his economic influence to shape the frontier's political landscape, guiding decisions, stoking conflict, and forming alliances. Those who partner with him can prosper, those who cross him will suffer. And when history doesn't cooperate, history is changed. By using bribery, extortion, sabotage, attempted assassination, and even the release of biohazards, Dragon has ensured that his company remains the sole economic powerhouse in the world. Steering the ship from his lavish mansion in the ruins of Sand Hill, Dragon is, without a doubt, the most powerful person in our Minecraft world. Though he tends to stay out of the main spotlight, traces of his influence can be felt throughout the frontier. North, south, east, or west, his is a name all players know and fear. The only question is, what will come next for Dragon? Will he continue to elevate to an even higher degree of power, or will his greed finally catch up with him? Or both? One can only speculate for now. Thank you so much for watching. If you made it to this point, chances are you found that interesting, and if you found that interesting, you can check out the full series on my YouTube channel. Also, I'm really close to 1,000 subscribers, so please consider liking and subscribing, it really helps a lot. With that, I have been the Minecraft Historian. Thank you so much for watching, and till next time.